Shine.fm presents Stronger Together, a show about growing in marriage, parenting, relationships, and community. Here's Seth Tower Hurd.
Stronger Together is both a video and an audio experience. So if you're listening on the radio, this might be one of the times that you want to check out the video later, because there's a couple of bikes sitting behind me, an adult bicycle and a children's bicycle. And the craziest thing is that there are like 1,100 more where these came from. My name is Seth Tower Hurd. This is Stronger Together. It's a show about growing in marriage, parenting, relationship, and community. Al Schroader joins me, and you're the guy behind the two bikes, which are visible in the video. And 1,100. I'm right on that number, right?
I've got actually 1,700.
Okay.
Yeah.
This was not maybe what you thought you would be doing. You're not an engineer by trade.
No.
But you fixed up over 1,000 bikes for children of single-parent homes, or come from a more challenging situation. And then also with the adult bikes, those actually go to, I believe, the homeless and people who need to get to work. Is that correct?
Yes. We have approximately 15 charities and 3 food banks that we work with. And many of them, probably a third of those bikes, go to adults that are in difficult situations from one thing or another.
Okay. If I can just get you a little bit more on the mic there, Al.
Sure.
This is something that, I've been to your house. You have a garage full. It looks like a full-blown workshop.
Yes.
So, when Stronger Together is about growing in marriage, parenting, relationships, and community, and of course, we're talking about the last two elements there. So I want to start with kind of how you found your calling into what this is, and then we'll get into some of the details of just how many people are being helped by the ministry. So you said you were born here in the Chicago suburbs.
Yes.
Wound up being in the Army, moved away, eventually came back. And at no point in there were you a guy that I'm guessing fixed up tons of bikes.
I did not. I did not know how to repair a bike other than some of the basic issues.
Yeah. Put air in the tires,
Exactly.
Grease on the chain, that type of thing.
Exactly.
So at one point, there was apparently a day in your life where you decided to pick up a new skill set to bless other people.
I did. I was coming home from a men's Bible study on a Monday night, and of course in our town on Tuesday is garbage day. And I found a bike sitting out in the garbage, and it was raining, dark. I couldn't see very well the condition of it. And then when I took it home, I looked at it the following morning, I could see why it was in the garbage. And I fixed that up, and I put it on our church's single-parent helping hands. And a individual requested that bike, that a adult, and he had a lot of issues going on in his life at that time.
Okay, so it was just one, though, right? At that time, you were just thinking, I can help one person right here. I think I'm pretty good at that, to where it's like, if I know somebody that needs a plumber, I'm good at making an introduction, or I know somebody that's looking for a job and somebody that's hiring. I'm pretty good at making those connections, and that kind of goes in the same category as helping somebody move. Like, oh, good, I helped somebody get a job. That's cool. Yeah. Oh, I helped somebody move. That's cool. I haven't gone and helped 1,000 more people move.
Yeah.
But you did.
Well, the turning point actually came when I gave the individual the bike. I gave it to him in the parking lot of the church, and he jumped on the bike and started riding around the parking lot screaming, "I've got a bike." And at that point, it kind of identified to me that there was a major need there to help others that may need a bike in his similar situation. So it was at that point that I started asking other individuals if they had bikes they wanted to get rid of.
And if I can just jump in right here and talk about often how much more complicated the life of somebody who's really going through a financial hard time is than maybe most of us see. By the way, this is Stronger Together. It's a show about growing in marriage, parenting, relationship, and community. My friend Al, who I've actually known for a few years, joins me. What's the actual official name of the ministry you run?
We call it Pedals for People.
Okay.
And I tell people I'm running an old spokes home. So we just have tried to help individuals in that fashion.
Okay, I was going to say, so I've known you, I think, over 4 years now, and for some reason I never knew the name. But, I wound up with a guy who's still a friend of mine. I'm going to hang out with sometime this summer, who I met him when he was in a season of homelessness, which happened. He'd been through some hard times, the worst being his wife passed away. He paid for the funeral and then missed rent, and that's what happened. Yeah. And, he came back through a lot of challenges and owns a business now, and his kids are doing well. He's doing well. But, man, all those little things that could have stopped him from recovering to being able to return to a normal life, one of those things being he called me and needed $20 because he had lost his ID. He didn't have money. He had a job, I think, at like Pizza Hut, and they were going to fire him if he couldn't produce an ID so they can pay him. I mean, huge corporation. Nothing I don't think the local manager could have done about that. It's just the way it was, right? So this guy's fighting tooth and nail to get back on his feet, gets a job. It all could have been lost for $20. And I think about how important transportation can be. If somebody gets a job locally, the difference between walking there and riding a bike may be the difference between keeping the job and not keeping the job.
Yes. We have some individuals that were walking 2.5 miles one way to a recycle plant, and we ended up giving 4 bikes to individuals, and it changed their life. They're, like you said, it's a small thing that will help them get back on their feet.
And how did was that through one of the connections of various other ministries that you work for, or how did those particular people find out that you could help them?
Yeah, that's one of the charities that we work with. It's called PADS, and they help individuals in securing a job, give them a place to sleep and eat, but during the daytime they have to be working. So we have provided bikes for them so that they can get from their place they're staying to their job. And we have several charities that offer the same thing. We have one individual who recently, up in Flossmoor, Illinois, was on difficult times and was walking 7 miles one way to a auto auction place. I had a part-time job, and this was the only job that he had available. And so we provided a bike for him, and it just totally changed his outlook.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. 7 miles to work.
7 miles.
7 miles home.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I can't imagine. I grew up in the second poorest county in the state of Illinois, and definitely saw a lot of people, including sometimes my own family, go through some stuff. But I've never been in a situation where, what is that? Probably you walk 2.5 hours to work by the time you get there, and then you turn around and work a few hours and walk home.
Yes, that's exactly what he was doing. And there are other ministries that are helping them in different ways, such as the food, clothing, and shelter. And this just gives them an added benefit to be able to continue in that path of recovery.
This is Stronger Together. It's a show about growing in marriage, parenting, relationships, and community. My friend Al from Pedals for People, it's a ministry in the southwest suburbs of Chicago that actually gets bikes, fixes them up, and gets them to people that need help in one way or another. And let's just close the loop here on how, God kind of led you and enabled you, because you said you just saw a bike and just kind of on a whim, right? Grabbed it, it helped somebody. Then you had to learn how to do this as it became an official ministry, I guess. Yes. You had to learn how to do it faster and better.
Yes.
And can you just walk me through that process, how you got from giving away a bike to giving away 1,000 bikes?
Well, it started, that initial bike I fixed, there wasn't a problem. And then the more bikes I got, the more I realized that these things have derailleurs and adjustments and disc brakes and things that I was not familiar with. So I had to go on YouTube quite a bit. And then I befriended an individual that owns a bicycle shop, and he helped me in many areas that I did not know what to do. And so with that, giving away the first bike, I saw there was a need, and then the more I gave away, the more need I saw. And so that's what keeps me going, to be able to just to try to help those that have a need like that.
Okay. And at what point did you realize that you were going to keep going? Did you realize you were doing a second bike once you gave the first bike and the guy was so excited?
I didn't. I didn't think I was going to, and then I asked some friends if they had bikes, and the first person ended up with 7 bikes that they gave me. So then I thought, well, now I have an obligation to the person that gave me the bikes.
I got to see it through, yeah.
As well as the obligation to try to get them into the proper hands.
You know what I think is so interesting about your story is a lot of times when people have questions like, what is my calling, or what has God put me here for, and that's different in different seasons of your life. I think most of the time we think, well, what is my job going to be? Or, what am I going to do that's going to kind of ripple on social media, that's going to inspire other people? And in your case, it really had nothing to do with any job you've ever worked. It was just something that God put in your way and kept giving you, first the physical stuff and then the ability to learn the skill set to help other people.
Yes, there was a small, I live in Mokina, and there was a Mokina Patch did a small article. And from that article, it opened up avenues that I did not expect at all. The local police showed up at my house one day, and I thought, what did I do? However, they had read the article, and so they gave me all the bikes that they had in storage.
Oh, my gosh.
And then I felt very enabled with that, and then I was delivering bikes to Operation Blessing in Alsip, Illinois. It's a Christian food bank, and I was blocking the driveway a little bit, and I could see that there was a unmarked police car that was up there, and I said, "Excuse me, sir, are you moving?" And he said, "Well, yes." So I moved the vehicle up, unloaded the bikes. He came back, and he said, "What's with the bikes?" So I explained to him, and he's the assistant chief of police for Crestwood, Illinois, and he committed to help me. And he has run a bike drive, which I've benefited about 300 bikes out of one drive. So.
If I can just take a moment for comic relief there, when I first started with Shine, one time I got pulled over in a station vehicle, and I was, of course, waking out, right? And it was a cop. I'm not going to say the town in case the guy's still working. I don't want to get him in trouble. We'll just say Northwest Indiana. He loved the station and wanted to know if he could have a T-shirt. I'm like, and you just gave me a heart attack for a T-shirt. Nice guy. But okay, so this is how, we go from 1 to 1,000. And I think that the through line here is the story of God just kind of keeping you pointed in a certain direction and putting things in your lap. So you went from 7 bikes to 300 bikes. And then you just kept going. And you said that now, before we talk about the partner ministries that you guys are helping, one of the biggest needs actually is just more bikes.
Yes, we can always use more bikes. They're the charities that we deal with. Mostly they go to children, but we've got charities also that deal with adults. So we always we have no bike drives going on right now. Okay.
This is Stronger Together. It's a show about growing in marriage, parenting, relationship, and community. Pretty cool ministry here in the southwest suburbs of Chicago that you may not be able to get involved in this particular one if you're in Indianapolis or Lansing, Michigan. However, maybe this is your thing to start or your thing to resource within your own church. My friend Al from Pedals for People joins me, has given away over 1,000 bikes, both personally and through various ministries to people who need them, which could be the children of families that are in a rough spot, or it could be somebody that needs transportation to work so that they can get out there and make a living and take care of themselves and sometimes the people they love. So the more bikes come in, probably the more people are needing it, right?
Yes, yeah. And, of course, there's always, you need parts and things like that to do all the repairs. And I wanted to just tell you, when Sports Authority last year went out of business, I was contacted by the police department in Matson, Illinois. And unbeknownst to me, he had read an article and kept it in his billfold for 6 months.
Wow.
And he ended up going to these sports authorities and purchasing all of their parts and supplies that they had pertaining to bicycles and donated them.
Wow.
So that enables me between, I've got approximately 6 police departments where I get bikes. That enables me to have the parts to keep the ministry going.
And if you are in, Chicago land area, Northwest Indiana, and you want to actually donate bikes, or, this may be something that as a small group or as a church, because it may not be the easiest thing to drive one bike somewhere. It may be something where you get a group of people together and you decide that you want to just this one time this summer support this ministry in some way. If you want to just let me know how that can happen, then I'll also go ahead and make sure that information is available digitally too. So how can somebody get bikes to you?
The easiest way is maybe through my cell phone at 708-990-6967. And we can make arrangements to
get them to you.
Yeah, to get them to
We'll also go ahead and I'll get the phone number and email. If you're listening to this on the radio, you can always go grab the video on Facebook or YouTube by searching shine.fm or search shine.fm podcast. And in the description of either the video or the podcast, you'll be able to grab Al's information and get involved that way. So, you've interfaced with so many ministries. I do want to spend a little bit of time there. By the way, this is Stronger Together. It's a show about growing in marriage, parenting, relationship, and community. My friend Al from Pedals for People in the southwest suburbs of Chicago joins me, giving away over 1,000 bikes to people in need. So tell me about the relationships with some of these ministries and, and how that's changed your life, right? Because you're working with several different ministries to give away bikes.
Several ministries, and one of them is All God's People in Tinley Park. She feeds the homeless in Chicago. And we are interacting and doing a bike clinic to repair some of the 650 bikes that we've given to her. But in interacting with other charities, the individuals that receive the bikes usually have some issue in life going on that they need help dealing with. We found that we can refer them to other charities for counseling, for clothes, for whatever their needs are. There's just, you start interacting with the ministries and you find out what their needs are, and conversely, they do the same thing with us. Such as the food banks, there's a lot of people that need some type of transportation, so we've got 3 food banks that constantly refer individuals to us, and then we furnish them with whatever that we have at that time.
And I do just want to give a bit of a plug here as somebody who's kind of worked in the homeless community a bit. Helping someone by giving them cash, buying them a meal. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money or what God lays on your heart, but I will say that I wish that a lot more people kind of thought ahead about helping people who are in need versus just kind of saying here's $5. Hopefully you can eat tonight, because when you give somebody the infrastructure and the resources to be able to improve their lives, that's where I wish more Christians would think about, how to help, as opposed to, I feel guilty. I'm walking down the street. Okay, I got $5 now. I don't feel quite as guilty. I'm not saying somebody didn't buy a meal with that, but what I am saying is somebody who's seen that whole kind of system of how people fall into tough situations and then get out of them. Please think about just doing some more research and seeing who in your area is helping out, who can help somebody get out of their situation. Because if you've fallen into homelessness or a very desperate situation, maybe to no fault of your own, you don't necessarily know how to get out of that. And to help somebody who's helping a lot of people get out of it, that's what gets me excited. It's
the helping and not the enabling that needs to be.
Yeah. And I didn't know if I wanted to go there or not, but I mean, I've personally helped people that turn around and will keep it family friendly and just say bought illicit substances within a couple of days.
Yes.
And then I stayed in that person's life, and eventually that person got clean.
Yeah.
But that's what really made me passionate about the people who are working with people who are in desperate situations.
Yeah. We have one organization, charity that we work with that places men in a counseling situation for drugs or alcohol. They will not give them a bicycle until they complete the program, because otherwise they will just take the bike and sell it.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and then at that point, we're really not helping anybody.
We're enabling.
This is Stronger Together. It's a show about growing in marriage, parenting, relationship, and community. Al from Pedals for People in the southwest suburbs of Chicago joins me, giving away over 1,000 bikes to help people in need. If we can talk about the kids side of things, because we haven't talked about that so much. You have given away bikes to a large number of children, and there's actually a kid's bike kind of sitting right here beside me, because I wanted to highlight the what you're doing there too. Tell me about just the kid side of this whole thing.
Well, many times the charities we work with and/or churches, the family cannot afford, and every child wants to have a bike.
Yeah.
So we have provided bicycles, particularly at Christmas time. This last Christmas, we gave out 144 bikes, and to some of these charities, that was the only gift that the child had gotten. And so it makes a major difference. We also have some of the teenagers that are utilizing the bikes to get to and from high school. They live out where they should be able to ride a bus, but they can't afford it, so they're using that. Even during the winter times, they're using that for that.
Wow. Let's talk, as we wrap this thing up, let's talk about just the change in you. Because how many years has this been now to do 1,000 bikes?
It's been 4 years. We've been working on it. When I say we, it's just my wife and I.
Okay. Oh, and we must have met right when you start, or pretty close to when you started that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. It was then, and it has changed. Sometimes it runs along a continuum. You have a high and a low as far as your feelings go whenever the amount of work that you have to go. But it has been extremely rewarding, and to be able to help individuals that just need a little bit of love and understanding, and provided a means to get back where they can be in society and function right.
Yeah. And to say it a little bit of a different way, I think, than when I said it earlier in the episode, God really kind of came alongside you, and this was built just because you kind of kept doing one thing, right? You didn't ever wake up and say, okay, so here's my 5-page plan on giving away 1,000 bikes in 4 years. And you just kept doing one thing. You see a bike in the garbage, you fix it, you get 7 more, you fix them. And then people start knocking on your door. So it's just faith one step away, one step at a time.
It is. It really is. And I do believe in miracles. And we have just been blessed every time that I feel that we're getting low on bikes and maybe we should be doing something else. And then all of a sudden something comes through and it changes your life. Yeah.
Wow. This is Stronger Together. It's a show about growing in marriage, parenting, relationship, and community. The ministry is called Pedals for People. And, a couple things could happen when you hear this story. The first thing is that, I think that you've got a bike sitting around that could help either a child in a rough spot or an adult that needs to get to work so they can better their lives. And, you could personally drive that over to the southwest suburbs of Chicago. The information, we'll get that to you here in just a moment. Or you could get your friends, your small group, your neighborhood together and say, okay, who else has got something they're not using here? Can we clean these out? Can we throw them in a pickup truck? And can we make my friend Al's day by getting them all, kind of in a mass load? Because driving one bike somewhere is, it could take you a little while, right? So you might as well do it all together. I think the other thing that could happen, at least for, some people listening, including maybe you, is you heard this and you say, okay, I'm not a bike mechanic, but there's this other thing that's kind of been in the back of my head that, I think maybe God wants me to do to help somebody else. And I don't know what that thing is, but the one who created the universe does. I'd say that you would say you just got to start, right?
You do. Yeah, you just need to, even though you feel you may not have the skill sets, God has given us all kinds of skill sets that we just have not applied and used maybe.
And what was was there a biggest hurdle or a biggest obstacle or a biggest moment where you say, God, I don't know how I'm going to do this without your help? Because you said you believe in miracles. I'm assuming you've seen some miracles over 1,000 bikes.
Yeah, we have we've just been blessed every time that there seems to be some type of obstacle where we're short on parts or we're short on this, bikes. I'll give you an example. I just had a charity, All God's People in Tinley Park, request a bicycle trailer because the homeless like to put their belongings in there, and that's everything they have is in that trailer. I've gotten 2 trailers in 4 years, and so I was about to tell her that I just don't get trailers. And I went to Oak Lawn to pick up 14 bikes, a guy that was getting them from scrappers. While I was loading them, he said, I've got this brand new trailer. Do you want it? And so that's how it seems that every time that you might get down a little bit, all of a sudden there's something there to say, hey, you need to keep going. There's not going to be any problems. So.
This is Stronger Together. It's a show about growing in marriage, parenting, relationship, and community. I want to give you a chance to respond to this. If you're in the Chicagoland or Northwest Indiana area, if you're in Lansing or in Indianapolis, there may be a similar situation of nonprofits that are doing something specifically with bikes for people in need. My friend Al is from the ministry Pedals for People. Started with 1 bike, gave it away to somebody who needed to get to work, and has done over 1,000 since then. Would love to help him get some more resources. I'm going to go ahead and give the information one more time. If you're driving, you're listening on the radio, and you can't grab it right now, what you can do is search shine.fm on Facebook or YouTube to check out the video that accompanies this broadcast. And in the description of either the video or if you search shine.fm podcast for the audio, you can grab his phone number and email address right there. If you want to give it one more time, then I'll make sure that it's available digitally as well.
Yeah, 708-990-6967.
708-990-6967. One more time, 708-990-6967. Or you can check out his email address by searching digitally, like I said there. Whatever this is for you, we just pray that you go do it. If it's a small step of grabbing some bikes and getting them to Al, we pray that you'd respond to what God put on your heart. If it's starting something, well, that's a little scarier, but we pray that God would respond to what's on your heart.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt. Al, thank you so much. It's been cool to kind of see you start this thing and then see you get past the number 1,000, and we're looking forward to, hopefully having you back on a big milestone here, or maybe even have you on with another ministry that's been helped through this whole thing. Once again, you can search Shine.fm podcast or search Shine.fm on Facebook or YouTube to grab this show, details for Al, and then other content related to music, faith, and family. This is Shine.fm.
That was Stronger Together, a show about growing in marriage, parenting, relationships, and community. Subscribe to the Shine.fm podcast to catch every episode of Stronger Together, available on the iTunes podcast app and wherever podcasts are available.